My friends, good day. For several years on this channel, we've been discussing the impact of artificial intelligence on employment. And regularly, I get messages asking me, is artificial intelligence going to take my job or make my job disappear? So, at first, for a long time, it was speculation. We tried to guess, we tried to get a feel for which direction things were going. And today we have a huge advantage, which is that we're starting to have a bit of perspective. And now there are scientific studies coming out, right? So now we're slowly moving toward a direction where the debate will be based on real studies, real data. And now, my friends, I hope you're sitting down. What I'm going to tell you today is quite something. I checked it several times to be sure, right? But the numbers are absolutely overwhelming. All right, let me tell you then. At first, if you remember, there was the hype. The hype. Yes, AI, PricewaterhouseCoopers, right? The big one of the big four audit firms, published an article 23 years ago. From that, I think mentioned in one of the videos where he said it would add, I don't know, how many trillions to the global economy. The world gross domestic product will increase by 14% because AI is coming. McKinsey had managed to outbid. There were even more mind-blowing numbers. There was the World Economic Forum, and they talked about tens of millions of jobs created by AI, others destroyed. But they said, we are going to be winners. So these were news stories that came out regularly. Today, because personally, I worked in tech, and unfortunately, tech goes from one hype to another. They go from one word, they'll take a keyword, for example, they'll tell you, yes, here we have systems that are hyper converged. Then you'll hear it until you're sick of it. Hyperconverged. You'll have 18 months where everyone is talking about it. There's not a single meeting without someone mentioning that word. Then you'll have, for example, blockchain. So yes, we integrate blockchain into our refrigerators. I mean, you'll have everyone talking about blockchain. And then there you go. I'm not saying that blockchain doesn't have its merits, but now no one talks about it anymore. That doesn't mean it's not used. Yes, it's used, but not in refrigerators. It's used where it needs to be used. So actually, if you want, they take concepts or inventions that aren't fundamentally without interest, but they end up spreading them so much. Everyone wants to join the bandwagon. In tech, like Aya, everyone copies each other. That's the vision. Ah, such and such company, they released their next gen products. They have this thing, this technology. Right away we want the same thing, because when we talk to clients, they'll immediately say, oh yes, your competitor released that thing, so we want to do the same. And there's this bandwagon effect. So when you add to that the consulting firms, the media, social media, all of that, everyone gets into a frenzy, a boiling point, a bidding war without anyone really knowing. We're more in a crowd movement than anything else. We're in a completely irrational crowd movement, really, as crowd movements often are, unfortunately. And when we start later, calmly, without passion, without prejudice, to look at the data that comes back, that's when it's a disaster. I'll just give you a simple example. A company in the United Kingdom where I bought a desk that, it's true, goes up and down. My back hurt from sitting all the time. I thought, well, maybe a desk like that would help me. And actually, it really did help me. Okay, so I get the desk, the box, about 30 kilos, I start assembling it. We've all become assistants for Chinese factories. So I start putting it together. I realize that one nut is missing. Oh, yeah, the instructions said there are 4 in the little plastic bag, but there are only 3. So I go to their website, and that's the only way to get in touch with them. There's an email, the phone, you call. If you need support, press 2. You press it, go to our website/support. Well, there's no way. You get there, they have, hello, my name is I don't know what. I'm an AI chatbot. I'm here to help you. I'm plenipotentiary. I mean, this AI chat has all the powers. Okay, I start talking with the thing. I explain my problem. It asks me questions. Then it goes in circles. It asks me the same questions it asked before. I just tell myself, don't get upset about all that. Well, we can't raise our voice, but after a while, it comes down to a binary choice. He offers me, he says, you want either I close the chat right now, you click on I close the chat, it's over, we'll review it, or I send you to our office. But as I had explained 5 or 6 times before, I didn't want to go to their office. I just wanted an echo. I said, well, send me to your office, but it's not because I was upset. Okay, fine. I sent it to our office. I closed the window because what he was telling me was so absurd that honestly, I didn't expect that 3 days later, someone would ring my doorbell, there would be a truck, and there you go, an office. They deliver a second bundle to me. In the meantime, I had already stopped by a hardware store. I showed them the nuts in question. For 50 cents, I bought one, and I had already put the desk back together. Now I end up with the second one. So I wanted to return it, but to return it, you have to talk to the same guy. So what happens, just to tell you, is that we want profitability. We're going to hunt humans. We're replacing with AI, except the AI is throwing furniture around left and right, the AI. For a missing plan, someone says in the plan to assemble my bedroom, page 25 is missing. We send them a new bedroom set. A truck returns with 2 or 3 people to remove the bedroom set because a paper is missing. You see what I mean? So, in the end, it's true that you saved the salary of a minimum wage worker, but in the end, you sent equipment to everyone. We're really in the realm of absurdity. It means that we feel like we're saving money on one side, but in reality, we're breaking a lot on the other. So, just to tell you, I saw a tweet earlier that said they had organized a recruitment day and they asked people from various professions, different fields who are looking for work to come and dance hip hop in front of employers. Just to be clear, so there's no misunderstanding between us. It wasn't about recruiting hip hop dancers, in which case we would have understood. No, it's just professionals from various fields. Well, there you go. They're asked to come and dance in front of people. And then if you move well, come on, you have a resume and all that. Clearly, here, we're not trying to recruit based on skills. We're trying to recruit based on desperation, on submission. Because someone who comes and humiliates themselves to the point of dancing hip hop there, hoping to get noticed. You can imagine that he's trading his dignity for a job. So, I'd like to tell you something. If you know how to dance hip hop, you don't need what's coming next. If not, contact Kiluz, the partner of this channel. I've been working with him for a long time. I know him very well. It's an organization based in France. They help people either find a job, it's support for either finding a job or changing jobs. If you're somewhere and you're stuck and you want to change, they have teams that help people with support until they find another job. They are taken care of under certain conditions by France Ploie, France Travail, Mon Compte Formation. So contact them on my behalf. The link is in the video description and the link is also pinned. Okay, otherwise, if you dance hip hop, like I said, you don't need it. All right, let's get back to our story from yesterday. So the number, I'm not going to keep you in suspense any longer. Massachusetts Institute of Technology, after conducting a study on 300 companies, found that the failure rate, which means the rate of projects that don't deliver a return on investment. That means we've poured in the money, but we haven't made any money. Well, they're around 95%. You heard right, 9.5%. 95% of the projects, well, the company spends money and gets no return on investment. And often they've even fired people. 55% of the company directors surveyed regret having fired people. 39% admit to having fired people. Because of AI, since they thought, well, we're going to bring in AI, we're going to start firing people, right? And then 55% say they regret it. That's what it means. They were promised, they got the hype, they were told AI has to come here, you'll see. Afterwards, they find themselves in a catastrophic situation. So it's not just the Massachusetts Institute of Technology study. There are other studies, let's say the studies, it could be 75%, it could be 79%. It could be, but let's sum it up. The majority, the overwhelming majority, it's not 51%, so the overwhelming majority, up to almost all of the projects. So they're not making their money back. They're not even bringing money into the campaign. Quite the opposite. All right, they're going to deprive the company of talent, of human talent. And also, if we go further and think about it, what kind of society are we really creating? Because, okay, well, let's imagine that AI was effective at replacing humans. What are we going to do? Are we going to fire everyone, put everyone out of work, and replace them with AIs? For example, there are people who say, oh, well, have you seen the movies? We don't need actors anymore. We don't need cameramen, camera operators, sound engineers, lighting engineers, editors, all that. We don't need any of that anymore, or set designers, the 300 or the 400 jobs that revolve around cinema. We don't need those people anymore. We can just write about AI like that and it can make us a film, right? In that case, we can create, quite a lot of power. We can make 10,000 films a day, can't we? And then, well, we'll have bots watch them, right? Because people won't have the means to go to the movies. You see what I mean? It makes absolutely no sense. So AI, if you want, is look at Microsoft. They laid people off. They laid off a lot of people. There are a lot of companies recently that have laid people off. There was even a company, not Microsoft, this one, they laid people off. Last month, people were fired while they were on a business trip abroad. The guys are abroad traveling for their company. They wake up in the morning, they're fired, their computer is locked, their cell phone is locked, and the company credit card is blocked. So figure out how to get home on your own. You see what I mean? So what we're doing is that the so-called value that's being created here isn't making us collectively richer. It's not moving us forward. Society with a capital S, it's just that we have companies, businesses that are operating in an opportunistic way. They say they're going to spend X millions, but actually it's trillions that have been spent. Basically, we're going to fire Suzanne from accounting. We're going to fire Michel from marketing. Maybe we'll save a minimum wage here, a minimum and a half there, and we've spent millions. Then we realize that if we compare what we've spent to what we've earned, about a few people, right, we see that maybe, I don't know, it would take 6 centuries to get our money back. And that's why, as Amit says, 95% have given up on it. So, of course, AI can help people. The people I've seen make money with AI and earn a living from it, these are people who, if I'm honest, stand out. But here, they work alone, or sometimes 2 or 3 people work together. And sometimes it allows them to focus on a specific problem that is known, experienced, or encountered by businesses, right? And then create a solution for this problem and go solve that problem. And yes, they make money from it. Indeed, it allows them to multiply their efforts. It means, for example, someone who couldn't tackle a program before, with AI, they can get help and do it faster, which means they can do things that yesterday they couldn't do alone. Or what used to take them 18 months or even a few years might now take them maybe 3 months, right? But those are individual cases, isolated specific cases. So you shouldn't come here and say, yes, but I know someone, or I know people who do this or that. Yes, it exists. Nobody is saying it doesn't exist. That's just how it is. Massachusetts Institute of Technology, in its study, says that 5% of what's related to making money, okay, 5% yes, 1% out of 20. There's no problem, but the overwhelming majority, it's trillions that are spent, and there's nothing in return, right? All right, just hot air. So we're still in a situation with just hot air. And here, once again, we see the industry's hype. As always, it's an industry that goes from one thing to another all the time, all the time, all the time. Right? The stories that come to mind, the companies that were talking to you. There was a time of blockchain. Everyone wanted blockchain. Everyone was talking to you about it. Hyperconvergence about stuff. There are always new words coming out and things, sometimes concepts that have their value. These aren't concepts without interest, but they have their value in certain situations. Not in a way that's spread everywhere, just because we copy each other. So thank you, my friends, for watching this video up to this point. Remember the channel's partner. They're really effective. I wouldn't recommend them otherwise. They're very effective. Contact them on my behalf using the link in the video description or in the pinned comment. Thank you, my friends. I'll see you in the next video.